Hello, everyone. It is hard to believe we are here at our spring summit. This year has absolutely flown by for me. It's been exciting to be back in the classroom after I retired and stayed out a few years and then went back to teaching post COVID. And it's definitely been a challenge for me. There we go. Student safety was the biggest issue that I had going back into the classroom. The classroom that is new to me, that it's new school, is phenomenal. It has a tremendous amount of storage, and the kids were provided with an opportunity to have an individual storage space. They had drawers that I divided in two and put their names on it. You'll see here in a second. You can see the biggest issue, though, was that students were sharing supplies. You can see in that center photo there. And to sanitize, color pencils, and some of the personal supplies in between there was impossible. Cleaning the desk and those type of things were easy, but those individual supplies were not. Here are some of the drawers, and you can see how I divided them up so that they can keep their things separate from others and their names on the drawers. With art is such a phenomenal tool to help kids learn to be creative, to help kids deal with issues, to help them think outside the box, develop problem-solving skills. And I think every child should have to have art, whether they feel creative or not, just because of the problem solving it teaches them. With this grant, I paired it with another from the Youth Service Center that I had access to. And I was able to purchase all my students individual sets of watercolors, of paintbrushes, drawing pencils with erasers, art journals, color pencils, and they were just super excited. They could not believe that they were able to keep all this as their personal stuff. They didn't have to leave it in the class and share it with other students. In this photo, you can see one of my students who is showing me her journal, what she's doing. These are all done outside of class. In the bottom right, you can see she's got some writing on there and a drawing, and the left is a drawing. And she asked me not to read it because it was something personal. I said, that's okay. And that was one of the concerns when they got the journal. Are you going to be reading all the stuff that we're putting in it? And I'm like, no, not unless you want me to read it. I want you to use it. Don't not be afraid that someone's going to read what you're putting in there. Here's another one showing me your student work. On the photo on the right, kids are sharing information. Occasionally, I gave them prompts that the first one one of the bigger ones that I gave them after our mask mandate was lifted. How do you feel about coming to school without masks now? And I was surprised with some of the mixed answers. I thought most of them, the majority of them, I'm excited without a mask. I felt masks are stupid, but it was about half and half. A lot of the students were excited to be without masks. The other ones said, I don't really feel comfortable. I still feel unsafe, like I'm being invaded by stuff. And I still have students to this day who are wearing masks who do not feel comfortable. The results of the products that I gave these kids has been interesting. I'm excited about them. Over the course of the year, I have had 320 students. And like I said, my students rotate every 9 weeks. And I polled my classes with these questions. Does having personal supplies make you feel safer when it comes to sharing viruses and germs? And 100% of them said yes. They liked having their own supplies, some left them in the drawers there at school, others put them in their backpacks so they knew nobody was handling them but them. And they could take them with them to home to use in those journals. Ask them, do you use your supplies outside of art class? 228 out of 320 said yes. Some of them were using them for other classes, but most of them were using them at home. And I even had one who said, my sister took all mine. Do you use your art journal supplies to help relieve stress? Was the next question that I asked them. And 176 out of 320 said yes. A lot of them chose not to answer. I think it was just a little bit of anxiety of wondering, maybe I'm going to get too personal and ask them stuff. But it was exciting to see that this was serving the purpose that I got these for. One, keeping them safe. Two, helping them with the stress. And we've all got stress, and COVID has added on to that in more ways than we care to admit. But the biggest thing that I got excited about is that these students were excited to have their personal supplies. I've even had students come back and asked if I had any leftover extras. And I did have some students who are not artsy and didn't use their journals donate the stuff back and say, here, you can give them to somebody else. So I do feel like this has been a very successful grant, an opportunity for these students. And I'd like to thank KVAC for this ARI grant and the opportunity to give my students a voice through their art supplies. And thank you again.